guys, hope that you're all well. Welcome back to the channel. Obviously I'm an intermediate level table tennis player. I'm always looking at different ways to try and improve, to try and get better. I like to upload my matches, both sort of like summer league matches, winter league matches, tournaments. And it's quite nice, that there's sort of various different people have taken a little bit of interest in how that I'm getting on and how my progress is sort of moving along. So I'm sort of trying to do a few more videos now in terms of match vlogs, tournament vlogs, training vlogs, and just basically like looking at all the different ways that I can try and get a little bit better, the various things that I work on, because hopefully if the stuff that I'm working on that's helping me to improve, then it will hopefully help other people to improve as well. So I thought I would do a bit of a review video. The idea is really that we'd have a look at what I've been up to over the summer, sort of have a look at some of the tournaments that I've played in, have a look at some of the matches, some of the training that I've done, because there's been quite a lot of training over the last few months. So I thought I'd just talk about that a little bit, just have a little bit of a look at how that's sort of been going, how I feel that I've done in the matches and tournaments that I've played in. And that'll be like the first half of this video, and then the second half is going to be looking at like different areas of my game that I think's actually gotten better. So I'll use some examples from different matches. The other area, which is obviously going to be a lot bigger, is going to be where I need to improve, because of course there's an awful lot of stuff that that can get better and that I need to work on. So yes, we'll look at that in the second part of this video. In terms of reviewing the summer from when the season actually finished, which was like the end of March, early April, I decided this year to try and sort of keep going really with my table tennis. Last year, when it got to the end of the season, I thought I'd have a little bit of a break. Still played in the odd tournament here and there, but not really. I sort of wanted to have a little bit of time off, play a little bit of golf. I played in like I said, the odd sort of match and stuff, but nothing major, and I didn't think that really helped me an awful lot. The one thing that I did actually find last year was that I didn't play for 2 or 3 weeks, I would say, and then I played a summer league match against a team that weren't particularly strong, and I don't know, I just kind of went into it. I felt really rusty. I felt a little bit, I felt quite a lot nervous actually, because I played terrible because I just didn't have a clue like what was going on. I didn't really know like what I was doing with my serves. I wasn't confident at all, and it's kind of made me realise now that, and it's something that I've spoken about a little bit before, but for me, I think first of all I need to kind of keep keep an element of regularity in terms of playing and training. And certainly what I need as the ideal mix for playing my very best table tennis has to be a combination of training, practice and competitive matches, and all three of those need to be in there together. It can't be a lot of one and not much of the other. So for example, playing lots of matches is great, keeps your match sharp, but I always feel that my technique suffers a little bit and I become a little bit sloppy. If I train a lot but I don't play any competitive matches, then I feel like my technique gets quite good, but I'm not really match sharp. And then if I just sort of go down and just practice, then if anything, that's probably the worst of both worlds, because I'm not really match sharp and my technique kind of goes a little bit awry as well. So it needs to be a mix of all three. So I think from last summer to this summer, I had a totally sort of different attitude. The summer tournament started. It started really well actually, which was the Backhand Open, which was the early part of May, and believe it or not, that was the first tournament that I actually won. Well, most of the formats that I play in, you don't necessarily win a tournament overall. You'll be in a group, and it's generally banded, and you're put into a group with other players who are very similar ability, and then you'll play a round robin. So so you'll normally be either 7, 8 or 9 in a group. You'll play against everybody. Top 2 will get prizes. So there isn't really necessarily like an overall winner through the day. But the Backhand Open was a slightly different format actually, which was there was actually 2 tournaments that day. There was the Open singles in the morning, there was the Vet singles in the afternoon, and I played in both of them. At the morning we were all put into groups, and groups of 4. Top 2 went through to the main knockout bottom 2 went through to a consolation knockout. So in those groups, I won 2, lost 1, lost to Stuart Durden, and Stuart played really well in that match actually, so I wasn't too disappointed losing that. I did well because I beat Dev, who plays for Burley Moss in the Oldham League and the Wilmslow League, and I beat another chap called Mark as well. So I had some good wins in that. That got me through to the main knockout stage. And then I sort of like slowly kind of progressed, and I had some really good wins. As a young lad called Oliver Jordan that I beat along the way, Jens Anderson. There's a couple of others, and I kind of like all of a sudden I was in the final, and it was a bit kind of like, whoa, you know, I'm in the actual main final of the whole tournament. And then I ended up playing against a chap called Mark Rhodes, who I've played a few times before. And Mark is he's an unusual style, quite unorthodox, and he's one of these where I've played him probably 3 or 4 times over the last couple of years, mainly at Ellesmere Port. Every time that I play him, his setup is slightly different. But Mark's one of those where he uses pimples on both sides with very little sponge, so the bat sounds horrible. It sounds like one of these kind of bats that you'd use when you're on holiday. You know, it's just got like a little tiny bit of rubber on it, no sponge or anything. It makes a real sort of thunking sound. And I've really been kind of up and down with my matches against Mark. I remember I think the first time that I played him, I went 2-0 down and then somehow came back and beat him 3-2. And I don't even really know how I managed to do that. But then I played him again, certainly the last time that I played him, I lost 3-0 and I didn't really stand a chance. I just didn't know what was going on. He kind of had, I don't know if it was like medium pimples on one side, short pimples on another, and some sponge on one side, no sponge on the other. I don't really know what it was, but I could not get to grips with it at all. I didn't have any expectations going into that final, because I know that he'd beaten Ben Griffiths, who obviously I know very well, train a lot with Ben, and Ben normally beats me, so he'd beaten Ben, and then the guy that he played in the semi-final, I'm not sure the guy's name actually, but who was a really good attacker, and Mark kind of, he didn't beat him comfortably, but they had a fantastic game, and everyone was sort of saying to me, well, good luck. So I was a bit kind of like, I just didn't know what to expect at all, and the final started, and I don't know, I got off to quite a good start, and I took the first game. I wouldn't say relatively comfortably, but it was okay. I think I took it about 11-6 or 11-7, and played really nicely. And I sort of found that his bat setup wasn't giving me too much trouble. And I'd like to say that was the biggest unknown. I just did not know what was going to happen when the game started. So I got through that first game quite nicely, and I sort of felt, well, actually, I'm okay here. And then I took the second game as well, so I went 2-0 up, and there was a lot of people watching, and obviously the main thing was that I didn't want to completely embarrass myself and get hammered 3-0, so I was really pleased that I took the second game and went 2-0 up. Then the third game, I sort of tried to maintain my concentration, but what he actually started to do, which was really clever, was he just started to sort of like dead block everything to my backhand. So he was almost kind of like attacking into my forehand, but then any time I'd loop, he would just block it quickly to my backhand, and because it was off the pimples and because it was quite dead, I just couldn't, because I was sort of set up to hit a forehand. I then have to change very quickly to a backhand. Ball was flat, I put it in the net, and that just kind of like it happened time and time again, and I ended up losing that game 11-2. So I was a little bit kind of like, I've been doing great, and then all of a sudden was really struggling again. But sort of fortunately, I did identify what was happening, and I managed to get myself back into it again, got back in on my forehand, managed to start getting some of those backhands on because I knew to start spinning up a little bit, and I took that game to win it 3-1 overall. So I was absolutely delighted that I won the tournament. Was also delighted as well that I was able to sort of maintain my composure, like having, it's not easy when you sort of win 2 games comfortably and then all of a sudden out of nowhere, they hit upon a tactic that kind of stymies you a little bit, because you start thinking like, well, where do I go from here? So I was really pleased that I managed to, like I say, maintain my composure and finish that off. So I was absolutely delighted. Like genuinely, that's probably one of the best days that I've ever had playing table tennis. I mean, I would say that the standard is obviously nowhere near, what some of the other tournaments that I've played in. but the fact that there were some good players that played that day, and I won the main tournament and I got to the final of the vets, yeah, was like absolutely delighted. So that got the summer off to a really, really good start. Another good tournament that I had was the Nottingham 2-star, which was only a week or so after the Bangor Open. Now, the Nottingham 2-star is run by Jason Ramage, who's he's a top vets player. He's top 5, top 3, something like that in England. So top player, and his tournaments are excellent. I would highly recommend those. If you think about playing in a tournament, the Nottingham 2-stars are excellent. So that's like a national ranking tournament. I try and play in those as often as I can. So what Jason does is the day before the tournaments, he'll email out all the different group listings, and obviously it's based on your national ranking. So I mean, I'm generally in about group 4, group 5, depending on how strong the actual entry is. And this particular day, I was due to be in group 5, and I could see that I was going to be the top ranked player in group 5. So, I kind of thought, well, it should be an interesting day. Got down there, went in to register for the tournament, and Jason said to me that, there's been a couple of changes and we've actually moved you up to group 4. So it meant that I was the lowest ranked player in group 4. But as Jason said to me, he said, like, the good thing is, like, any wins that you get, you'll get some really good ranking points. So yeah, so I was quite excited to sort of see what I'll come up against. There was, I think, pretty much every player that day I'd never played before, so I had no idea what to expect. First match of that particular day was against a chap called Ian Wood. I lost 11-8 in the 5th, so really, really tight. But I sort of thought, well, I think he was actually the highest ranked player in our group, so I thought, well, it's not too bad though. And anyway, after that, played fantastic. I had some great wins. There's a young lad called Ben Robertson that goes down that helps Jason that day. He's a very strong left-hander. I managed to beat him 3-0. There was 2 or 3 others that played that day who were really, really good. There's a lad called Chris Marshall, who's very steady. Doesn't have any big shots or anything like that, but he's kind of, he just places the ball well, keeps the ball on the table, places it well. I managed to beat him. The only other player that I lost to that day was a young lad called Gabriel Cook. Gabriel was very, very good actually. He was very attacking from both sides. Good backhand, good forehand, and I just didn't really have any kind of like answer to it. His level was just like a little bit too good for me. Like, not really like way beyond me, but at this kind of stage, just not quite good enough to be able to beat that sort of a player. So I lost to him, but won all the other matches. So basically that day I played 7, won 5, lost 2, and I finished second in the group. Now that made a big difference to my ranking, my national ranking, because I think I was about something like 610 before it, and then that jumped me up to 508. So very nearly inside the top 500 in the country, which was quite a big step for me really, and that's obviously that was the next target to kind of go for. So a really, really good day from there. A couple of other tournaments that I played in one in Huddersfield in June, which was quite a tough day actually. I think there was 9 of us in the group. That wasn't, in terms of results, wasn't great. I think I finished 6th in that tournament, but I had some good matches. Played in another vets tournament again over in Nottingham that Jason organised. That was in the back end of July. And I think I won 5, lost 2 that day. So again, played pretty well against some strong players. Finished 3rd in the group that day. Played in a couple of tournaments at Ellesmere Port as well. It was the York 1-star, which I played in August, and I did actually make a vlog for that tournament. Incredibly long day that, but like brilliant tournament. The venue itself, the York Railway Institute, is superb venue. I really enjoy going over there. It's a shame they don't have more tournaments there. So yeah, so all in all, in terms of tournaments, it's been nice. I've had a good spacing of tournaments. I've had some sort of rest periods, but but then there's also been, it's generally once one tournament's been done, I've had like a little bit of a break, and then I've been building up to the next tournament after that. So it's been so that's been great really. There's a summer league in Trafford, which is one of the main leagues that I play in, and The Summer League in Trafford is really good fun actually, because I always feel like it's got the right kind of balance between competitive and, you know, relaxed social table tennis. So the team that I was playing for, Haysgrove won. So we were in like we were in the top division West. So I think they made it like a top division East, top division West. So there was some there's some really good teams. It's the same format as a normal league match, but you don't get any points for winning or losing. There's no league tables or anything like that. They're just basically friendlies, and that's all it is. I had a real kind of like mixed bag, I would say, in terms of the matches. Early on we played against Affinity away. We actually lost that match 10-0. So it was a very difficult night. They had some really good players that night. So they had a chap called Ken, a chap called Carl, and Leo. And all three of them, I think they're from, I'm not sure if they're from Hong Kong or not, but they're definitely sort of like, you know, from Asia, where, you know, and obviously like, you know, there's an incredible amount of like really strong players, you know, from around China and that area. So it was always going to be very difficult that night. So yeah, I lost to Ken 3-0, I lost to Leo 3-2, lost to Carl 3-1. Like certainly like against Ken, I'd lost to him before, and he's very you know, very fast, very direct style, and I just had no clue what to do against him. So, but then we played them again about a month later. And I think I did actually do a vlog on this particular match, and like genuinely one of the best nights of table tennis that I've had. So the contrast between the two nights was just like chalk and cheese. I went on against Ken in the first match. I lost the first game, but it was really close, and I was kind of like, oh, I'm fairly happy with that. And then it was kind of like it was nip and tuck all the way through, and managed to actually get him. I think he went 2-1 up, and then I took the fourth game, so got it into a fifth set, and I was just like, I am delighted. I'm absolutely delighted that, you know, that I've got him into a fifth set. And then I just played really nicely, and managed to win it 3-2. So was absolutely amazed. There was so much good stuff about the way that I played that particular match. I was, you know, I just looped and looped for everything that I had. I then went on to beat Earl Nanton, played that night, and Earl's a great player, managed to beat him. And then the final match was against Carl, who had beaten me quite convincingly a few weeks before, and managed to beat him 3-1. So it was just a total role reversal from a few weeks ago. I was particularly pleased against Carl because he had this thing where he was pen holder and he just targeted my backhand relentlessly. And obviously my backhand's not as strong as my forehand, and I was just delighted to be able to beat a very good, consistent player who just purely targeted my backhand, which was, yeah, I was really pleased with that. So fantastic night. Other matches of note of the Summer League, I would say, was so we played Ashton away, and they had a very good side. They had John Carr, Jake Shaw and Phil Hudson. I managed to beat Phil that night, but I lost to both John and Jake. And I did mention, again, this was part of the vlog, and I did sort of mention in that I was disappointed with my lack of, like, because the conditions weren't easy that night, and I didn't sort of change my tactics to allow for the sort of slightly sweaty conditions where I just was struggling to loop the ball. So, you know, kind of came away from that night pretty disappointed, but then we played against Ashton again a few weeks later at home. Managed to win all three, and they had a really tough team out that night because Annie McDonald played, Jake played again, and John Carr also played. So it was a little bit like, well, I'm probably going to lose all three going into the match. And didn't get off to the best start when I played Annie in the first game, and I caught my hand because Annie serves short to the forehand quite a lot, and it just drifted slightly long, so it was a little bit long where I could loop it. And I went to obviously, you know, kind of was going to flick it, then I dropped my hand below the table to then loop it, and I caught the edge of my hand on the corner of the table, and I've never known like anything like it.
I was too busy worrying about your hand. Can we have a let for that?
Oh.
Are you alright? You okay?
Oh.
And the funny thing is I actually won the point because I think Annie stopped because she was worried that I'd hurt myself, because it made such a clunk, it was unbelievable. So yeah, so that wasn't the best start to the night, but I actually went on to win that 3-1. And it's never easy against Annie because she's really strong forehand and backhand. We often kind of like take the mickey out of her a little bit about her forehand, but it's only because her backhand's so strong. Her forehand is also really good, so you know, being able to beat her 3-1. I mean, I've played her a lot now over the last couple of years, and she's beaten me far more than I've beaten her. But it was a really kind of good match because I kind of felt that I kind of stopped her getting in and attacking, and I managed to attack quite well. Annie can block very well, so it wasn't just the fact I got in and attack, but I managed to place my loops and everything well. So yeah, it's never easy to beat her at all. I managed to beat Jake 3-0 as well, which I again was really pleased about because Jake's an excellent player. I know that Jake has only just come back to playing table tennis, having had a few years away, but he's an excellent, really good level player. Jake serves short an awful lot, so really testing me in terms of my my flicking and my touch play and everything, which is something I'm going to mention in the second half of the video. But yeah, so was delighted to be able to beat him, and then the crunch match came against John because I'd lost to him as well a few weeks ago. It goes in my favour though against John when we play at Hayes Grove, because the room just isn't big enough for him, because John likes to go back off the table and he likes to lob and sort of fish and all that kind of stuff, and at Hayes Grove, even though it's a decent sized room, you can't really do that, so he had to stay a bit closer to the table. I could play my normal game and attack, he couldn't get far enough back to defend, so managed to win that 3-0. So it was like a little bit of revenge, but it wasn't necessarily like a fair playing field, if you like, really. But so that was a great night as well. Yeah, been some real kind of highs and lows, lots of kind of like learning points and everything from the summer league matches. It's been, again, that's been great to just kind of like keep me match sharp, just sort of like keep you to give you that that competitive edge really that you need. As I mentioned earlier on, really, like just playing and practicing is one thing, but it needs to be that, even if it's a friendly, just the fact that it's like a proper, league structure, and that you've got to go through the whole process of playing and then sitting out for a bit, and then playing and then sitting out again. Yeah, so it's really good, and I'm glad that I've kept that going through the summer. Okay, so in terms of training through the summer months, it's been I've probably not trained quite as much as I would like to, but I've still got a decent amount of stuff in. I've had some training sessions with both Amir and Kamal Hussein, who I've had training with. Certainly with Kamal, he's been responsible for bringing my game on a hell of a lot from probably the end of 2020. Up until the last year or so, I've had lots and lots of training with Kamal, and he's taken my game from here to here sort of thing. It's made a huge difference. I think he's been responsible for me kind of getting to a level where I can compete with like top division local league players. So I've had some really good sessions with him. I've had some great sessions with Amir, his son. Different style of coaching to Kamal. Kamal's very much kind of like we work through a set of drills. It's all very structured, whereas Amir's a little bit more kind of ad hoc, and it'll kind of like will sort of like change as the lesson goes along. A lot of tactics and a lot of anticipation work, and if you put the ball in a certain place, well, where's it going to come to next, and all that kind of stuff. So that's been really good. I've started having some lessons with Phil Bowen as well. Phil's a excellent player. Plays at Flixton, plays in a few different leagues. He also represents England, sort of like over 60s. It's been quite interesting actually having some practice sessions with Phil, because slightly different kind of viewpoint from Kamal, but it complements it perfectly. And having the the advice and the training from the two different perspectives has worked really well. It's interesting because Phil's left-handed as well, so you do a lot of the drills at a different angle to what I would do with, say, Amir or Kamal. But like I say, a lot of the stuff is very similar to what I've been working on. He's kind of emphasised a few different points. Like there's been different areas where, like in terms of my looping, to try and really vary the loop. So sometimes come around the side of the ball a little bit more, let it drop a bit lower, and get like lots of side spin on the ball. to keep my bat up, take the ball earlier and drive it flatter has been another, sort of like another focus. Probably one of the biggest things that I've worked on with Phil has been Forehand Flick, and that has improved massively over the last 6 months or so, because that was a shot that I basically didn't have, and now it's come quite good. Yeah, so there's been lots and lots of like really good stuff. We've worked on different serves as well. He's really kind of emphasised about doing some sort of like longer, faster, flat serves, because I would always do like a long, fast serve with a bit of topspin, but he's tried to get me to do it quite flat, not an awful lot of spin. So that's been great. So combining all three elements of that kind of input has made big difference to my game, and I've had a lot of people sort of comment that they've seen improvements as a result of that, which has been great. I've also had 2 different training camps that I've been on. So I've been to, there's one in Nottingham again held by Jason Ramage, and that was the end of July. That was fantastic. Worked on lots and lots of good stuff. Really I did some good stuff in particular, like on serving, like trying to mix between serving really short to the forehand, serving long and fast to the backhand, which is something that's quite obvious to say, but I've never really sort of like practiced that properly, and practiced mixing between the short and the longer serves. We did lots of work on consistency and also third ball attacks. That was great. And then this is another one that I did a vlog on, was the training camp in Birmingham with Ed Lynn. That was again fantastic. I had 2 excellent days there. Again, I've done a vlog that kind of documents pretty much everything that we did, and that, so take a look at that if you get a chance. But yeah, I felt there was so many elements of that were great. There was again consistency work. There was lots of multi-ball as well. I got lots of good pieces of advice regarding like hand speed when I'm looping both forehand and backhand. The main thing that kind of came through from all that was the fact that I lift the ball. I'm always like lifting it from going from low to high, low to high, low to high all the time with both strokes. So a lot of the emphasis was on going straight through it, driving forward and not lifting, spinning the ball. I mean, one of the great bits of advice that I got from a chap called Mustafa Manager was to spin the ball into the net. So, because the problem I have is that whenever I try to spin my backhand, I end up kind of like lifting it off the end of the table. So again, this piece of advice was so good, and it's something that's kind of really stuck with me. I did some really good stuff with Lee McHugh on playing against Pimples. So that was fantastic. So there's been a lot to digest over the summer. Yeah, there's lots to be working towards now in terms of, I've got league matches are starting, British League is coming up as well. There's going to be a few more tournaments before the end of the year, so there's lots and lots to be working towards. I've just got the problem I think I've got now is that I've been given over the last few months a huge amount of information, and I've just got to kind of digest all of that, let that settle in. And the one thing I would say is that talking about my mix of training, practice and matches, the one thing that I'd say that I've not quite had enough of is the practice element. So I've had lots of training where I've been given loads and loads of bits of pieces of advice. I've had quite a few matches, but just that practice element, I just need to get in there a little bit more, which will allow me to then just basically start working on the stuff I've been learning on the training camps and in my lessons.
So the first area of my game that has improved over the summer and indeed over the last 6 months or so is my forehand counterspin. You can see here in a league match from October 2022 that when there's a good quality ball that's coming at me with a decent amount of spin, I'm just putting the bat in the way, just trying to block it, and I'm completely at the mercy of the incoming spin. You'll see here against Phil Summers that I just block and I block again. It's just giving an attacking or an aggressive player the opportunity to keep attacking. My game is all around me getting in and attacking the opponents. So you can see here that the key difference now is that rather than blocking, I play 2 counters, one after the other. Phil plays a very similar opener, and then I counter and a counter again, and I force Phil to block. So this is the York 1 star against Jack Buckley, and you can see here that again, fairly decent quality top spin from Jack, but he just put it right on my bat, but you can see it's really nice how I just basically put the bat to the ball and I accelerate forward. I don't really take much of a backswing, and that's the real key. This one here I had a little bit more time. Kieran spins the ball up very, very slow, but again I'm right on top of the ball driving it forward. It's very, very easy on that kind of a shot to actually hit it long. You've got to be aggressive so that you're not at the mercy of the topspin. Earl Nanton here, nice little backhand topspin, but again he spins it up right to the middle of the table, makes it quite easy for me to attack it. So I feel that my backhand open up against backspin has improved massively. If you have a look at this, this is a summer league match from 2 years ago. Quite a weak shot actually, ended up in the bottom of the net. Kind of get myself down and then I just stay down and I'm trying to lift it all with my arm, no real acceleration or anything. This was from the Ellesmere Port Cup last month. This was a lovely shot. Take my time, pause, and then absolutely rip through it. Really, really good shot. I think my backhand was actually really firing well in this game. Same again here. What was really nice as well about this one is that I go cross court. I have a tendency with my backhand open ups to go straight down the line, but I'm trying to make more of an effort now to try and get it in the corner. Did exactly the same with Phil. Wasn't particularly fast or powerful, but I think the placement won me the point here. This was a lovely one too. You can see here that Nas was genuinely surprised by that. I think the key to this though is just fast acceleration, pause, and then snap through. So this is a shot that I basically didn't have about 6 months ago. You can see Phil was, for some reason, trying to pivot, I think. Thought I was going to go into that corner. So this is typical of what I used to do. Short serve, and at this game in particular, Tom served short to my forehand a lot. Then I pushed it deep and gave him the opportunity to attack. It's no good, especially against like a very good attacking forehand player. Here you can see, it's not necessarily like a proper flick, but it's almost like a bit of a flat roll. The placement on this won me the point, and you can see there was no particular power or speed. Here against Jake Short, I mean I had to do this a lot against Jake because he served short a tremendous amount. But again, you can see here, step in, roll it nicely to his backhand, don't allow him to do anything, and then just absolutely rip through the forehand. Similar move here, short serve to my forehand, then do sort of like a flick roll into his backhand side. Doesn't really allow him to do anything, and I play a really good forehand there, but he does block it back very well, and then I just miss the forehand. So I thought this was worthy of note as well. One of the things that I definitely have a tendency to do is to go cross court into someone's backhand. You can see here from 2 years ago, this is the restricted final against Phil Summers. All I'm really doing here is putting the ball in the middle of the table. So from here, loop to his backhand, then kind of go straight to the middle of the table, middle of the table again, middle of the table again. And you can kind of see what's happening. It's just giving him the opportunity to be comfortable in the rally and then attack me, and then eventually I miss it. So this is a game against Annie here where, you know, sort of decent push, then I go down the line again, and I win the point. It's a shot that I've definitely noticed wins me, it wins me a lot of points, it really does. I just don't use it enough. I definitely have a tendency to hit a forehand from the backhand side and then go into the backhand side. So again here, nice little pivot and then straight down the line aggressive, makes it very, very difficult for the opponent if there's a decent amount of power on it. This was a completely clean winner here actually. Slightly weak return from Earl, pops it up in the air a little bit, but again the placement wins me the point. So you've had the opportunity recently to watch the vlog that I made of the training camp that I attended in Birmingham at the start of last month. You'll have noticed that nearly every single coach said to me that I let the ball drop and I try and spin it up. Now that's not a bad shot, but it's not good enough against better level players. Once I get in, like this rally here, and I've got the initiative and I'm attacking, I need to really maintain the initiative, and obviously I made a mistake against Naz by letting the ball drop too low and then hitting a poor quality shot. This is a great rally here against Simon Pugh. Again, I gain the initiative, I get him back from the table, and really my looping should be consistent and powerful enough to win this point. You can see here, that I let the ball drop too low. So I let it drop too low there actually, so which forced me to sort of spin it up, give an okay quality ball, but here, I mean, I could have killed that, but instead I let it drop and I tried to spin it again. It's just not good enough really. Like, you know, once I've got once I'm in and I'm attacking, I should, like I say, have the power and the consistency to win these rallies. So again, if you watch here, look, ball drops, I have to spin it up, ball drops again, and then I think I mishit this one ever so slightly, but you know, need to be taking the ball so much earlier. I've had some great rallies actually against John Carr. He loves to move back, but you see again here, you know, I have the opportunity. Well, then look how low it drops. It almost drops level with the table, and I can't do anything else other than sort of spin it up. So I really need to work on that.
Okay, so I just wanted to finish the video off by just answering a few questions. So I put a post out a few weeks ago, which was just to say that I was going to do a review video, and that if anybody had any questions or anything they wanted to ask me, I'd do my best to answer them. So I just thought I'd work my way through them very, very quickly. First one is from Adam TT 2009. So he says, when did you start table tennis and how did you get into the sport? So I actually started playing table tennis in 2015. And it was quite a funny one really. I mean, I played a little bit when I was really young. My granddad used to have like a homemade table when I must have been about 6 or 7, and we just used to go and just have a little bit of fun in his garage. So nothing serious at all. But then a few of my friends that I played golf with were having a night out in Hale, and we sort of said we'd go around to one of the lads before we actually went out properly. We'd have a couple of drinks and whatnot. And he had a pool table in the corner. He had a really big lounge. He had a pool table in the corner of it, and he also had like a table tennis table that you could put on top of it. So we started. We just played a few games and stuff, having a bit of a laugh, and then we went out for the night. Then we came back, and we must have been playing till about 5 o'clock in the morning. And I got a lot better just in the space of those few hours. So I really, really enjoyed that. And then one of my customers, because I run a window blinds business, and one of my customers that I was doing some work for, got chatting to him, and he played for a team that was in the Warrington League. So I'd obviously said to him that I played a little bit with my mates, you know, a month or two before on this night out, and he said, well, you know, come down and, you know, see what you think. And I took him up on the offer, so I did. I went down to Padgate Community Centre a week or two later. Went down and played, and I kind of went down thinking, oh well, you know, I'm going to be pretty good. You know, it'd be interesting, you know, to be quite good fun to sort of beat some of these league players, and I got beat by everybody. So that was a bit of a rude awakening, but I didn't get disheartened with it, and then I just sort of stuck with it. So basically, like every Monday, I'd go to Padgate, and then I started to find a couple of other places. There was some practice nights at Altrincham Grammar, so I started going there. The chap called Brian Keane, who was running the sessions, and it kind of progressed from there. I sort of slowly got better and better, and then I got to a point where I felt that I could possibly play competitively without embarrassing myself. So I started playing for Padgate in the Warrington League, and that was probably the turning point, I would say. And I started having some coaching with George Lennon as well. So it was actually probably those two bits. Again, you know, kind of going back to what I said before, competitive, having some competitive table tennis and having some coaching, mixing those two together, my game just went up and up and up really, really quickly. So, you know, got a lot better really fast. And then it's been an interesting sort of ride after that. I mean, I would say that I'm hopefully getting better all the time, but definitely finding that it's a case of the better that you get, the more difficult it is to keep improving. And you've got to work harder and harder, and I think I'm definitely at that level now where if I'm going to make significant progress, that I've got to put a huge amount of time in. And it's kind of difficult because I'm going through phases of having time to be able to do it, and then phases where I'm busy with work, I'm busy with family, and all of a sudden like a month goes by and I haven't done anything like as much as I would have liked to have done. But yeah, so that's it. So yeah, 2015 was when I first started, and yeah, it's been a really enjoyable ride so far. Next question is from Matty369. What are your short and long term goals? Who's the best coach that you've had? So short, long-term goals. I mean, obviously, I just want to keep improving as much as I can. I mean, it would be nice to kind of get to a stage where I'm perhaps ranked, top 10 or top 5 local league, because like all different leagues have rankings. And I mean, I think Warrington, I'm maybe in the top 30 at the moment. I'm not sure where I am in Trafford, but I would quite like to get to a stage where I'm in like maybe the top 10 or the top 5 in the local league rankings, which I'd probably like to be able to do within the next 2 or 3 years if I can. The best coach that I've had, I mean, I wouldn't like to sort of rank anybody above anyone else, because I'd say that I've had some really, really good coaches over the years, and they've all been like fantastic for the stage that I was at. So like Brian Keane was the first coach, then George Lennon, and George really he sort of was the one who taught me to loop, to get, to kind of like, to loop or to open up against backspin, and that took my game to probably another level or another couple of levels, being able to loop backspin. And that's still to this day one of the strongest parts of my game. George was also the one who really got my forehand going. So George played a huge part in my my development. As I mentioned before, Kamal Hussein has been absolutely fantastic. I actually had some coaching for a spell by a chap called Bao Long, who was from China. That was just before Kamal actually, and again, some of the I'd never seen some of the looping that like he was doing, and that really opened my eyes that how much harder you can hit the ball and how much harder you need to hit the ball. He always used to laugh about my serves and say always used to say that I had primary school serves. So he was quite a character really, and he helped me. Like I said, Kamal's been fantastic. Amir has really, really helped me, and then more recently some of the stuff that I've done with Phil Bowen as well, and the fact that the coaching I've had from Phil and from Kamal and from Amir have all sat together really, really well. And then also obviously the coaching that I've had at the training camps. Ed Lynn has been a fantastic kind of mentor for me really in the last few years. I've been down to see Ed a lot of times, and some of the input that he's given me as well has been invaluable. So each one has been ideal at the different stages of the my table tennis journey, if you like. A couple more here. What's your advice for managing match nerves? Do you have a set strategy for when a match reaches 10-10 in the fifth? Tricky one that. In terms of managing match nerves, I think the tournaments I'm very rarely nervous. I'd say in a league match I'm normally always a little bit nervous. The one thing I would say is that having a really good warm-up helps, because I always find that if I turn into a match late and I don't get much of a warm-up, I'm hopeless. So really good warm-up definitely helps. I would say that focusing point by point is probably one of the biggest or one of the best bits of advice that I can give. That particularly helps when if you say, you're like, I don't know, you might be like 10-4 down in the third set and you're 2-0 down and it looks like it's all over. Just play each point as it is. Don't think, oh, it's all over now, I can't get back into it. Play it point by point. In terms of having a strategy for 10-all in the fifth, do you know what? It's probably something I'm not quite good enough, and I think you'll get so many conflicting bits of advice. Because I mean, it's the one thing I would say at the moment that when I play against better level players, there's been quite a few times over the past season where I've gotten to, I've got to 10-all in the fourth, or 10, I've got it really tight in the fifth, and I just know that I'm not going to quite get it over the line. I just know that they're going to kind of do something, they're going to change it, and I'm just not going to be able to beat them. So that's definitely something I need to work on. So yeah, but hopefully those the bits and pieces of advice that I'd give there would sort of help controlling match nerves and get yourself ready for playing an important match, important tournament. Who's your favourite top level player to watch and why? There's some really, really good players that I enjoy watching actually. Krianga has got an incredible backhand, so I've really enjoyed watching his matches. Timo Boll, I think he's lovely to watch. Great, fantastic backhand, lovely forehand. I would probably say that my favourite's Marlon though. I think a lot of people say the same thing. I just think his forehand's just incredible. It's something that I've watched a lot. I've tried to emulate certain elements of his technique for my forehand. He's so good with his backhand. He's been at the top level for a lot of years now, and he doesn't really show any signs of like wanting to slow down too much. So yes, I think he's definitely my favourite to watch. The final one is Lizard King. What's your ranking point goal for the end of the 2024 to 25 season? Yeah, an interesting one. That I don't know in terms of like ranking point. I think in terms of an actual ranking, because I am 490 in the country now. So that was, I'm absolutely delighted that I've actually now got into the top 500 in the country. So that's fantastic. But I mean, my longer term goal, I would like to get into the top 250. But I don't know whether I don't think I'll be able to do that by the end of this season. I think that's maybe something that's going to take 2 or 3 years. But I think that I'm good enough to be able to do that. It's just whether or not I can play in enough tournaments to get the ranking points. But that's definitely going to be a goal of mine. So yeah, and just generally just keep trying to get better throughout the season. Really, keep you guys obviously updated with everything that's going on. I've got lots of good ideas for various different videos, and all the stuff that I'm going to be working on to try and get myself better. So, hopefully you'll enjoy it. Thanks ever so much for watching. I hope you found the video useful. I hope you found it interesting. Please subscribe to the channel. Please support me, and I'll see you again soon with some more videos.